Hey guys, and welcome back. This is Chosen Architect, and today we're going to be automating fissile fuel and the lovely plastic sheets for Mekanism. So I hope you guys are ready. So guys, I hope you're ready for today's video because, well, it's going to be all about Mekanism and getting ourselves some polonium. We are going to be working towards that, utilizing this big empty room here. And man, I hope we can get this done today because there's a lot involved in setting this bad boy up. So let's get started. First things first, we have to look at polonium and go, hey, what does it do? Well, one thing, it creates spent nuclear waste, which is a product that we have to just basically store. There's no great way of getting rid of it. We just have to basically store it in waste containers. Now, polonium itself, I believe, is also radioactive. This stuff is radioactive. If this stuff happens to spill out, if you break a pipe or break the block, you're going to end up with some trouble on your hands. And it's going to be pretty dangerous us doing it in our base here. But I do want to utilize this space. So hopefully I don't make any mistakes. I shouldn't. So long as I'm careful and not breaking any pipes, I should be fine. But polonium pellets, this is the main thing we need. It comes from a pressurized reaction chamber. That's just one of many things that we have to set up. In order to even get polonium, we have to get nuclear waste. To get nuclear waste, we have to have a fission reactor. So that's the only way to get this nuclear waste. We're also going to get steam as a byproduct as well. So from this reactor, we'll get steam and nuclear waste. You can turn the steam into power, which we might end up doing using a turbine. It's not super difficult to do, and you can generate quite a bit of power. Speaking of power, we are going to need more power. So today we're also going to upgrade our big reactor machine down below, and we're just going to make it larger. We're going to have quite a large, big reactor. It's going to cover pretty much the entire basement area and also get that set up for automation. Also, this needs to be fueled with fissile fuel, and that's probably the hardest thing to make is the fissile fuel, as it just requires a lot of machines to set this up, and also water. But we have a way of pretty much generating infinite amounts of water, so water is a good way to go. You could also go another route and use brine. I believe brine is another thing that you can use in here. It definitely tells you through the list. Honey apparently is a thing, and chocolate. Yeah, fissile fuel. Let's talk about fissile fuel. To get fissile fuel, we're going to need uranium hexafluoride. Hopefully I say all these words right. And that's going to need an isotopic centrifuge in order to get this. Now, it is showing a chemical oxidizer with this reprocessed fissile reagent. We're not going to worry about that. This is basically how we're going to get fissile fuel. Now, a couple of these things require solar power. This, for example, the solar neutron activator, which is required for basically creating the polonium. Let's take a look at this real quick. So when we step down from the polonium, to get that polonium, we need solar power. So unfortunately, this thing has to be placed somewhere where we can get solar energy. And it only works during the day. So up here, we're probably going to repurpose this area, or I could probably utilize this space over here instead, and we can just build it on this side. Yeah, let's build it on this side instead of that side, because we can always pull up a solar panel up here, and that would make things a lot easier, and it's just going to be breaking through the roof. But yeah, that's some things that I'm trying to note here. We're also need fluorite. I've already made this. You can actually get this stuff via seeds. So I've already made some via the seeds. Not super difficult. Also, sulfur is something that needs to be automated as well. I've already made the seed for that too. Because as you've seen, we're going to need sulfur. We're going to hexafluoride. That's uranium hexafluoride. Oh, uranium is another thing we're going to need. We already have that automated, so I'm not too worried about uranium. But yes, hexafluoride. That's another thing we're going to need. This goes into a chemical infuser. I'm hoping I'm not losing you guys yet. And then you need sulfuric acid mixed with that fluorite. And of course, to get sulfuric acid, it requires its own thing like sulfur trioxide, water vapor. Water vapor comes from its own thing, which is rotary condenser. Like all of these steps have their own trees that we have to follow. And I'm going to try my best to go about doing those with you. It's just going to be a mess though, but I'm going to work on it. So when I said I was going to be upgrading the reactor, well, I was meaning I was actually going to upgrade the reactor, and I was going to fill this whole thing up. And which I did. However, I'm not using a whole lot of control rods. You may think that, you should probably fill this whole thing up. And of course, if you did do that, well, you'd be eating a lot of fuel. These are even 50% down on all of them. So kind of help, it's just kind of there to help consume less fuel. Of course, I could focus specifically on the fuel production, but at the moment, this is producing like almost 180,000 RF per tick, which is pretty good. Like, I can't really complain. It was producing almost 200,000 RF before I dropped the rods down 50%. But at the moment, it's doing good. I'm about to automate the uranium, so that way this whole chest is filled with uranium. And then we're going to get on with all of the Mekanism stuff. And the reason I needed to do this was, of course, because Mekanism is a power-hungry mod. And, well, we're going to need a lot of power for it. So I better get this ready to go. So I am trying my best to line this up. And over here is going to be where my actual fission reactor is going to be. But I'm kind of lining the machines up in a way so that way I can kind of understand what all needs to be processed in order to make this fuel, to make fissile fuel. Now, of course, we are also going to use this to not only make fissile fuel, but also to make plastic. So I'm going to also have a line over here that is also going to be generating plastic for us as well, which is just kind of an extension of this whole process. And we actually need plastic not only for the in-game stuff in the pack, but we also need plastic to be able to craft this guy right here, the solar neutron activator. So let me go ahead and talk about a little bit about this and how we're going to possibly set this up. Of course, under each one of these, we do need to get power sort of set up. That is one of the main things. None of this will work without power. Now, the hardest part about this whole setup, honestly, the hardest part, and I mean, I can vouch for this, it's getting the machines to do what you want them to do and move fluids and stuff the way you want them to move them. Fluids and gases. Also, knowing what's a fluid and what's a gas is sometimes difficult as well. It just can be a pain. So let's see, let's see, flux networks. I need to grab my flux controller. I think the network, make sure I'm on the right network. Out, I believe, is the right one. Make sure we copy the configuration so we can just paste it onto all of these. Oh, it just makes that so much easier. So I don't have to worry about it. We can just paste it. Look at that. So easy. But I think this is the amount of machines we're going to need. I hope I didn't mess up. I went through basically the different fluids and kind of went through the whole tree that we're going to need. And the ultimate fluid is going to be the uranium hexafluoride because that is what goes into making the fissile fuel, right? Uranium hexafluoride goes into this isotopic centrifuge. So yeah, that's our main goal, is to make this stuff. So to make this, we need uranium oxide. That comes into this side. So uranium oxidizer, or this is going to basically take uranium, like full on uranium, and it should convert this into what I need, right? Let me just make sure. So yellow cake uranium, which is this thing. So we do need an enrichment chamber. And the enrichment chamber is going to go to this side. So, you know, small things like this, of course, are things that I kind of look over. But hopefully this will all be solved. Like, I just get this set up. We will have an automated system that is going to send our product to here. So if I go ahead and link this up and I throw this in here, that's going to start producing yellow cake uranium. Now I do need to send this over. So I have some very nice pipes. I went ahead and set up the automation for all of these pipes. The logistical ones are going to be the ones we're going to work with. And I should be able to send this over to here. Notice how this pipe just doesn't want to connect, right? For one, this is probably due to this. We need to have this configured set up differently. I want the top to be input and the left side to be output. And then we also need to make sure we're using logistical pipes and not mechanical pipes. So let's check logistical pipes. So there's the item transfer. And then for this, we need to make sure that we are under items and how the items are going to go in. And I want the right to be the input. I think this is the right, because when you place this machine, it goes just like this. And you don't have to actually configure this to do anything because I have the auto output enabled. It's going to automatically eject. But if you really wanted to, you can set this to make sure it's set to extract mode. So now upgrades definitely will be needed in order to get this set up and flowing smoothly. And the big thing is this right here. We may end up needing more than one of these to produce more fuel, depending on if we're able to produce enough of the fissile fuel. So that's going to be one of the big things. Like the more fissile fuel we can make, the more we can pump into the reactor, the higher rate of fuel consumption we can get the reactor up to. And technically, the hotter, I guess, it goes, the hotter it can get, and the more waste we can produce, which allows us to make things faster. So, the big automation thing here, let me go ahead and get a sign, or an item frame. This is just going to help me visualize what is going on here, and what needs to go into this. So I definitely need to know that, hey, uranium goes in here. That's going to help me visualize that so I can get an automation process set up for it. Basically get a ender chest so I can get that automated to it. Now, we need to get that over here. And this should be simple, but sometimes things can be a little wonky when we're dealing with gases and fluids and stuff. On the gases, I want my input 2 to be on the right, which it is automatically, and then input 1 is in the red over here. So this should automatically pull from here. If I go here and I check on this, this container right here needs to be moved over, and we can actually move this around to kind of see the changes of things. Let's see, this is set to gas config. I don't know exactly where this is at. I guess it's going to be output. It's going to be blue here, set to output. And then for this, we need to use an actual pipe made for that, which should be a pressurized tube. Yes, the pressurized tube now is filling over here. And of course, we can do the same thing just to make sure we can kind of visualize what is being pulled from where. And look at that. We have uranium oxide built up over here. This side is where things are going to get a little bit harder. Because all of these things have to sort of connect into one another, and I think I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way forward with this one instead of the opposite way around. Yeah, definitely work it from this way to the center. Otherwise, it's going to be incredibly confusing. So the electrolytic separator is going to start our process towards sulfur trioxide. We need oxygen and we need sulfur dioxide to make sulfur trioxide. That is one of the branches here towards this uranium hexafluoride. You can see we have hydrofluoric acid. To get hydrofluoric acid, we need sulfuric acid and fluorite. So that is a simple process that we have going on. That's going to go on up here, like right here at this this spot. So to get to that, we have a few things we need to do. We need to make sulfuric acid. So we need water vapor. Let's go ahead and get the water vapor set up, because that's not too difficult, right? We need a rotary condenser, which is this thing right here. And we need to basically send water to it to make water vapor. And if we take a look at how that's produced, water vapor, you can see the arrow is pointing this direction. So we're going to pump water into this side, and we need to flip this. I believe there's a way to toggle the operation. Yes. So right here, basically you toggle this, and now we're taking water over here, and we're going to be turning it into water vapor. So for this, we need a pipe. And then, of course, make sure this is pumping. And that is going to be doing that process and turning that into water vapor. Then we need to take the water vapor, which I believe is still considered a fluid, or is it considered a gas? I don't know. See, this is where I kind of run into problems. Let's just see. It's considered a gas. Okay. And then we need to route that over into here, which is going right where it needs to go, right into the water vapor slot. But then again, like I said, make sure you set that up so you can kind of visualize what's going on. Now, that's the easy part done. Now we need to go back into the multi-step process of generating sulfur trioxide. Sulfur trioxide needs, we'll go ahead and start on this side, sulfur dioxide. That is going to be a chemical oxidizer with sulfur dust. Now, I'm going to need to process sulfur and turn that into sulfur dust. However, I am generating sulfur essence, so I guess I could just directly send sulfur dust directly into this, because I am producing sulfur. So another recipe, actually, I don't know if my sulfur seeds give me regular sulfur. It looks like it just gives me sulfur dust. That's interesting. I didn't realize that's let's see, I have my sulfur. I mean, I have a bunch of sulfur that's backed up, but I didn't realize it just gives you sulfur dust. So hey, we don't even have to bother with that process. That's another thing we don't have to automate. That's perfect. Okay, so sulfur dioxide, pretty simple. We need sulfur dust, and that is going to create sulfur trioxide. That is going to be generated right here. So if I throw this in here, make sure to grab one so I can kind of put an item frame on here so I can see the process. Is this going to let me put an item frame on here? Put it on the ground. All right, so we know what goes in here, but we need to send this sulfur dioxide into this. And I think that is also a gas. And this one, this is one of those machines. Yeah, I think this is the face that it exports out of. And I don't know if it's a gas. Nope, it's millibuckets. I think it's a liquid. So go to the mechanical pipe. Okay, it's not either. Maybe this is just not the side. So when I place this down, I believe I placed it like this. So this is the face. So the left gas would be the output. Okay, so it's basically saying that was the output. So it is, I guess, a gas. So there we go. Now it's outputting and it's going over here. Perfect. Oh man, like I said, these can be kind of confusing if you don't really know what things are. It can be a little bit confusing, but we're gonna set the item input over here as well. We can set the item input to the top, which is already set. Perfect. That side's perfect. Now all we have to do is make this sulfur trioxide. We need oxygen. So the only thing to make sulfur trioxide now is to go from just to make oxygen. That's done with an electrolytic separator. We've already kind of played with these before. This is just going to need a lot of water. So let's hook up a actual water pipe. Ultimate mechanical pipe. Just like that. And make sure we have it pulling. And that should generate on one side hydrogen, one side oxygen. Now we are going to use that hydrogen. I'm going to set it to dumping access for right now. But we need to get that oxygen transferred over here. And oxygen is, of course, a gas. So that gets sent over here. And these two combined are going to end up creating sulfur trioxide. Very nice. Now, of course, we need to route that sulfur trioxide over here. So to do that, I do need to set up, make sure the back is set for the gases. And make sure the back is set to output. And with that back being set to output, of course, remember to set your routes so you can visually see where things are flowing. And then that is going to go into here and create sulfuric acid. That sulfuric acid needs to go into this, and we also need to get that item set up to it. So make sure the back of this, under gases, is set to output. Yet again, we'll route that. Now we're getting sulfuric acid in here. I'm going to go ahead and cover the floor up, because we don't really need to see any of that. And then this needs another item. Fluorite. No, not the stuff you brush your teeth with, or wash your mouth out with. Let's see. There's this stuff. And I do have seeds set up for it as well. So yeah, we can go ahead and get that going in there. And that is going to be generating the hydrofluoric acid. And now we need to take the hydrofluoric acid, which is in millibuckets. So I believe this is a liquid. I think, actually, I think it's a gas. Yeah, it's a gas. Okay. And that's automatically set up. But I still want to make sure that I have it looking proper. And now this is generating uranium hexafluoride, which is what's going to go into here in order to make fissile fuel. And then, of course, on the back, let's make sure we set this to gas. And make sure we have the back as the output. Man, I hope you caught all that. And then this, we need to make sure the gas, because I think the fissile fuel is still a gas. I think. And make sure the back is set to output. As of right now, it's not accepting anything. Let's see, make sure the gas, make sure the front is input. There we go. It just needs to be read as an input. So that's generating that, and you can see over here we are now generating fissile fuel. Whew! Lots and lots of steps in order to get this all processed up. Now, this does not have power yet, so I do need to grab this and drop some power in here. Awesome. Now, let's go into some other details that we need to go to set this up. We need to make plastic. So we should be able to utilize some of this over here to generate some plastic. So I hope you're following along. In order to make this plastic, we need to kind of go down a couple of lines. So we need an enrichment chamber. That is going to get us our HDPE sheets, which are our plastic sheets, but we also need the pellets. To get the pellets, we need substrate. Substrate is going to require oxygen and ethylene. Keep in mind it's liquid ethylene that we're going to need. And so this substrate comes from a pressurized reaction chamber with hydrogen, which we're producing as sort of a byproduct at the moment. And we are going to use this with biofuel to get regular ethylene, and then we're going to have to convert this ethylene, of course, into liquid ethylene. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then we just move this process down the line. I mean, this is pretty simple. We already have water source, so we're just going to route the water source and our hydrogen. And then we also need, of course, to get biofuel, which is just crushing different materials. So we have a few things that we can crush here, like potatoes or anything we're farming, and it's not too difficult, right? So let's set up a crusher. We'll place that here. This can actually go, the pressurized reaction chamber probably needs to go, you know what, we can probably set this up so the way the crusher is on top of this pressurized reaction chamber. I almost think that this is going to work a little bit better, just having the crusher up here. It still needs to get power, but yeah, we need to route some things over to this. So with our mechanical pipe, also we need to make sure that this is set to dumping excess for both sides, just so it doesn't stop our system up. We needed to transfer the hydrogen, which is a gas, over. So you use these pressurized tubes. There we go. And then, of course, remember to set that. So now we should be getting, well, we're not getting anything yet. We need to basically tell it what side we're getting things. So over on our gas side, our right instead of output needs to be input. So now we should be getting it. Our face should be an input. So we're going to send water to the face. Down here, we are going to use a logistical pipe to transport items to the top. So the item section needs to be set to input on the top. Now, we are going to be getting an item and a liquid as a byproduct. So we need to basically say, hey, where's the item going to go? I'm going to route the item, I think, to the back. So we need to set our items output for the back. Let's see, where is the back? The back's right here. And we need to set that and say, hey, make sure the back is an output for items. And then for the ethylene, which is the blue over here, which is the fluid, I believe. I think that, yeah, the ethylene is a gas. We need to say, hey, this needs to be an output on the left. Because we need to convert that ethylene as we go. So let's go ahead and convert that ethylene into a liquid. Now for this conversion, I am going to rotate things around. We're going to be using this rotary condensator. Oh man, it's so confusing to say this. This also needs some power. So let's go ahead and make sure that's got power. This also needs some power. Hey man, I'm glad I made so many points because they are definitely getting used. This does not have power anymore either. So we definitely need to give that power. We might have just enough points to get everything done. That'd be kind of cool. Okay, so we need to basically leave this like it is. It's actually just in the right position. It's going to be transferring this stuff over to here. But I did place it this way, so that means the ethylene as a gas will be transferred over here. And we don't have to really do any configuration or anything because it's automatically going to send that over here. Now, our next machine is going to take that ethylene, and I believe it is the reaction chamber. Let's see, we're going to be taking that and turning, so this right here is turning this into substrate. We need to send that substrate and make the pellets. So we do need that pressurized reaction chamber, and that's going to get our ethylene and oxygen. Now, we can divert oxygen over here because we are using, I think, enough oxygen, like we're generating enough oxygen to kind of supply everything. I don't know. I probably should make another electrolytic separator specifically for this, but yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I think that's going to just make this work a little bit better. So then now that we have our electrolytic separator, we need to basically tell it, hey, what side's what. I'm going to make sure these are both set to dumping excess. And then these are backwards. So we need to swap these. And this needs to be blue on here. So it needs to be outputting on this side. Let's see, output blue. As you can see, it's dark blue. As we outputting from this side. That's the way that I placed it. So that should send it this way. As you can see, we're getting oxygen now. But we also need to get that liquid over here. So that's going to come from this. That's going to get that liquid ethylene. Again, I do like to make sure these are all separated like that so we know where things are flowing. And that should be receiving everything, right? All the things we need except for the items. It is not receiving the items yet, which is fine. We're going to get those logistical transporter over here. And we're going to make sure that that is connected to the proper station. Make sure that's set like this. And then this needs to be set up differently on the back. We know this is blue for the items. The back needs to be the output. Okay, and auto extract on. Substrate. Make sure we're actually on items. For some reason, it's not letting me pull the items out of the back. Maybe it's because there's nowhere for it to go yet. Let's make sure this is set up so that way the back is set up as an input for items. All right. Oh, and there it goes. It just happens so fast. Like, this pipe is ridiculously fast. So, there we go. Now it's set up. So, this should be taking that substrate, or should be, and converting that over. For some reason, it's not. Oxygen and flowing ethylene, substrate, and oxygen. It gets oxygen as a byproduct. Because there's no power? That could be an issue. There we go. Yeah, it was just because there was no power. Perfect. So now that it's got enough power, now it's creating the pellets. So we are almost done with plastic. All we have to do is get 3 of those and it makes a sheet. So there we go. We make sure the item output is on this side. And we just take our pipes and send it over here. Make sure this is set up so that way it accepts on this side. As you can see, it doesn't by default. But now we set that to red. And it's getting the pellets and that's generating the sheets. And that's basically all we need to do. And we have fissile fuel production done and plastic sheet production done, all basically in the same general area. All I gotta do now is get some automation set up for these 3 items. And that's basically it. Some inner chests, actually 4 items, because this needs some potatoes and stuff up here. So there we go. Here's all the stuff like automated and ready to go. And of course, for some things that have crafts, I have to put a crafting upgrade in. But other than that, that should fill these chests up and we should be able to get everything back to our system. I have all the different inner chests and we just need to use logistical pipes to transport those items into the top. I mean, it's honestly that simple. Like I think this is after doing this the second time. I think the second time I've built this system. I feel like this was a little bit easier the second go around. Definitely a little bit easier. At least I think so. So guys, this is looking fantastic. We have everything running. Everything's working. These pipes act like massive storages. So I did place another pipe over here to hold just the absurd amount that these pipes hold because they are the max pipes. It's working fantastic. I'm absolutely loving it. Next episode, we're going to get the fission reactor set up so we can get all of this extra stuff made. So we get our polonium pellets. And guys, we are on our way to this all-the-modium star. Like, we are almost there. I'm also, by the way, in the background working on this. We're now at a tier 3. I'm still slowly making my way up to the tier 4, 5, 6, and 7. But we will get there. I definitely will get there. Kind of doing that behind the scenes because it's not something that is super like... It's the same thing over and over again, just kind of leveling the thing up. Anyways, let's give a huge shout out, though, to the sponsor of today's video. Oh, by the way, I also kind of did what you guys asked me to do. And yes, this is incredibly fast. I can't lie. It's really fast. So that shout out is, of course, going to go to Raid Spracklin. Dude, thank you so much for your amazing support over on Patreon and going above and beyond. Guys, if you're interested in becoming a Patreon, of course, you can find that link down in the description below. Also down there, you can find the world downloads. the all of them, all of the world downloads are down there. Episode 10, 20, 30, and 40. You can find them all linked down in the description below. There's a lot of cool information there. Also, be sure to check out my secondary channel. It is youtube.com/chosenlive, where my wife has been editing those Twitch live streams. So if you missed the live stream, be sure to check out it over there. They are nice, short, and compact for you guys for your viewing pleasure. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and also give this video a giant thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Of course, I'll see you in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching.